Again, my name is Erin Kuhn, and I'm with the West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission. We are facilitating the process of updating the Muskegon area-wide plan.
Yeah. It'd be great if people follow the plan.
What is the Muskegon area-wide plan? First of all, by a show of hands, who in this room was involved in the first development of the Muskegon area-wide plan, which started in 2002 and was completed in 2005? Great, we have a whole bunch of new people. Wonderful. Anybody know what the map is?
But I'm not telling.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the vision for development and growth of the area.
Perfect. Yep. It is. And we have the mission right here. It's to involve citizens in creating a shared vision for the future of Muskegon County. It encompasses, it's a very large umbrella which encompasses a lot of different areas. And we are now, well, does anybody want to tell me what was the map supposed to accomplish when it was created back in 2005? Anybody? Mr. Fisher.
Uniformity amongst the local units and
A uniformity.
More along the lines of trying to get all of our planning officials, township boards, and city commissions, all looking at the real need why we have to have these master plans.
Great. Yep. And why are we updating the master plan? Or the vision? Anybody want to?
Well, they're not following it for one thing.
That's,
It was too hard to follow.
And the world changes.
and exactly. Thank you, Ken. The world has changed considerably since 2005. Not only within the jurisdictions of Muskegon County, the state, the nation, and the world has changed considerably. When we first developed the map in the early 2000s, the big driver was urban sprawl. We were growing faster than our development could, than our infrastructure and our local governments could handle, really. And it was becoming very expensive. So a lot of communities, 3 communities in particular, townships, got together. They were in the process of updating their existing master plans. And they wanted to work together because they realized that they had a lot of issues that crossed jurisdictional boundaries. School districts, water lines, sewer lines, roads. Their citizens didn't only live there. They didn't work necessarily within their community. They traveled to a different community to work, for their kids to go to school, to do their shopping, to get their health care. So they in a very short conversation, realized that they needed to plan more regionally and ask themselves, where do we draw the border of this regional planning? And at that point, they decided they really needed to encompass the entire county. And we, as a regional planning agency, they came to Windsordick and asked us to help facilitate that process. So we started, that was back in 1999. And it took us 2.5 years until 2002 to get everybody organized and on board. We had a very large steering committee. We had 23 of the 27 local units of government, 28 if you include the county, on a steering committee that helped drive this process. Everybody had an equal vote. Every local jurisdiction had an equal vote. So it was a very grassroots effort. We had over 1,000 people participate in the process of updating the master plan. And when we were completed in 2005, we had this grassroots vision that a lot of the local units of government were working, that they had a part in, and a lot of citizens had a part in. Next, who is Windsordick? Who is the West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission? This kind of explains who we are a little bit. We were created in 1970, so we've been around a little while. We are a federal and state designated planning agency. We are really a region without borders. We have run several different programs. Any transportation project within our Muskegon metro area in northern Ottawa County that receives federal funding goes through a process that we administer. We're a designated economic development district, which means we do regional economic development planning for 5 counties, including Lake, Mason, Muskegon, Muakegon, and Oceana counties. We also do water quality planning. Those of you who are familiar with habitat restoration work that's going on in Muskegon Lake, Kathy Evans in our office has been working very hard on that effort. We are also the fiduciary for Homeland Security for a 13-county regional planning, state planning district. So we wear many hats, and we do a lot of different things. Now I'm going to ask you to use the clickers. We only have 50 clickers, so I apologize. If anybody's willing to give up their clicker, that would be fine. We have some fun activities here. Yes, and I want to say, first of all, thank you to... We have some extras. Somebody doesn't have one? Up here.
It's real-time audience response. Real-time audience response.
This helps us. This is electronic voting. So you guys can vote on your opinion on some things that we throw up here. It will record it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for them. I think David has
10 or 12 years ago, it cost us how much to do it?
Way back in my brain, correct. First of all, I want to give special thanks to Muskegon Community College. They donated these electronic voting equipment for us to use. We're very excited. We used these, a different version of these when we did the first round of the map, and it was very expensive. We had to get sponsors to help pay for them. MCC was very gracious in donating this to us. And what it does is you can click a button. You're only allowed to click the button once. The software will only allow you to do it once. You can push it as many times as you want. And it will go into, we have a receiver in our computer. It recognizes your vote. It's anonymous. We can't trace it back because we don't know who has what clicker. So it is anonymous, and we can show the results instantaneously on how people are voting and how they're feeling. So, and we can also, as we get going in the process, do some impromptu questions. So if we have a hot topic that people have some very strong opinions on, we can throw a question up with some answers and have you vote on those questions. So we'll get going on that just to get you familiar with the voting equipment. We're going to have a couple of questions here. First of all, what do you like most about Muskegon County? Can everybody read that?
Job.
Good job, Dan.
And we have up there the responses. We can see how many people have voted. So if you're holding out, you're going to hold us up.
Has anyone voted yet?
Yes, I did.
Uh-oh.
Should we vote like now? I don't see the city commission up there.
No, all you have to do is hit your button. So we're having a little software issue. We'll get it worked out here. It worked in the office yesterday. There we go. Numbers going up. Okay, we have 33.
A little late like that.
I'm rushing.
Take your time. We have 11 more to vote.
Very silent.
Not everybody choose. Some might choose not to vote.
Oh, if you're not, okay.
No, I don't have.
No, that's fine. Oh, you don't have a clicker? No, we're all out of clickers, I'm sorry.
I pass them over to that table. They're more important.
Oh.
Yay, the radical voices.
Okay. We We have 40. We'll move on from there. There's the results right there. 28% said everything. 25% said the beaches, and 23% said the water. So 50% water. 50% water. This is very, very similar to what we had last go around, with everybody really embracing the water in our shoreline. So next question. In what year was Muskegon County incorporated? A little trivia for you.
2012. That's it.
Make you use your math. I know, Nancy.
She wasn't sure.
Oh, we've got 44.
You wouldn't do it.
That's what I thought.
Okay, let's go for that.
I had to add some humor.
Has it really been incorporated ever? Yeah.
Okay, has everybody had a chance? 48. Oh, two more. 49. One with 50. There we go.
What?
1859.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's right.
Yay.
Oh, we're still
That's right.
Oh, there we go. Okay, in 2009, Muskegon County celebrated their 150th anniversary. Anybody know what that anniversary is called? Sesquicentennial. Okay, good. Next, how many planning and zoning jurisdictions are there in Muskegon County?
E is correct.
Yeah, no.
That you pick whichever one you want.
Okay. Planning and zoning.
Two more?
One more.
One more?
Who's holding out?
Somebody's holding out. All right, we're going to move on. 27.
Wow.
We have 16 townships, 7 cities, and 4 villages, and then 28 if you add the county. But the county does not have zoning jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So, but 35% of you think it's zoning. Okay. How many square miles are there in Muskegon County?
We did not know we were going to be tested.
It's fun. It's fun. I think this is the last one. I have a question.
Yes, we just do.
48. Anybody else wanna? Going once, twice, and
No.
They gave it up.
they squeezed it in. Good job. 500 square miles. Okay, and I have a frisbee for whoever can tell me how many acres that is. What?
322,000.
You're off by.
Oh, you want water too?
I don't know.
352,000.
My records. Greg is the winner.
Oh.
I have a very bad throwing arm, so
Oh, no.
I apologize. It is 300, according to my calculations, 300, just under 326,000 acres in Muskegon County. The original map document says 300.
That's what you were saying, right?
Just under 326.
Okay.
All right. Let's up the map. We'll get back to the clickers in a second, in a few minutes. You can put those down. I went through this a little bit. We, like I said, we started in '99, and at that point, Muskegon County was the only county from Traverse City down to the Indiana border that didn't have an active countywide plan. So that was another reason that we really needed to start working together as a county and come up with this shared vision. We embraced the smart growth principles, which I'll point out here in a minute. We identified 5 major vision areas. They include land use and growth, economy and jobs, natural resources, open space and environment, infrastructure, and quality of life. And if you've noticed, each one of the forums that we're having 5, and each one is focusing on each one of those vision areas. Like I said, we had over 1,000 people participate in the process. It was completed in 2005, and implementation began immediately with activities that were going on, and now we are in the process of updating that because there has been a lot of changes. These are the principles of smart growth. I'll let you read them. I will not read them to you. But one thing that we need to point out is that not every jurisdiction in Muskegon County can meet all of these smart growth principles. So what we need to do with the jurisdictions that we have and the community that we have is identify which principles can those jurisdictions accomplish and how can they fit in the piece of their puzzle piece into the larger piece of the county. Because the county as a whole can address these smart growth principles. And let me take a step back and explain to you where these principles came from. The Smart Growth Network is a national organization. They went around to the top 10 functioning communities in the country and identified what 10 attributes they had in common. And these were the top 10 that they had. So communities across the country are trying to meet these top 10 criteria to have a better community, functioning community. So that's where the Smart Growth principles came from. In the process of the first round of the map, we identified a smart growth scenario. We had 3 scenarios that we looked at. One was business as usual, basically developing how we've always developed over the past 200 years, 150 years. And when we looked at that, we really didn't like it because instead of using the assets that we have and building upon the inner cities and where we have infrastructure where it can be cost effective, we were building out. And it was eating up some of our natural resources. It was very expensive for infrastructure for these communities to maintain. And so this is the second was the zoning build out, which basically identified how much each jurisdiction has to, if we were to develop for the allowable amount in each of the zoning for each of the communities, I know I'm not saying that very well, I'm sorry, what would we look like? If everybody were to develop the way the zoning ordinance is allowed, we would have a population the size of Indianapolis in Muskegon County. And nobody really liked that either, because that would eat up a whole bunch of our natural resources and our forest land. Yes, Dave?
Just want to comment, this might be a good time to spend just a couple of minutes on the difference between the zoning map and the master plan.
Sure, I can explain. Does anybody not understand the difference between a zoning map and a future land use map or a master plan? A zoning map is a snapshot of a community today. Basically, what is allowed in each of the zones, for example, for residential, industrial, commercial development. And that is more of a legal document, the zoning ordinance. A master plan with its future land use map is a vision of where the community wants to go. The two can be similar, but don't have to be. So in the zoning, if a developer comes to a planning commission and wants to develop in a certain area, the zoning map doesn't allow for that, and they request a change. If that change is not consistent with the master plan and the vision and the future land use map, the community can deny that.
Oh, we can.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, we're trying.
You
Can you give an example of an area that wasn't developed because of adhering to the master plan?
Yeah, did they ever not develop something because it wasn't in the master plan?
Yes. One example is Owasso. When the developer came in and wanted to buy up the Boy Scout camp and develop that whole residential development, and I'll talk about this at the Land Use and Growth, or the Environmental Forum, the community said, no, we don't want that. And their master plan was consistent with that. They used 3 documents in the lawsuit and in court. One was their master plan, one was this document, the Muskegon area-wide plan, because it doesn't show development happening there. And also, as a result of one of the outcomes of the Muskegon area-wide plan, came the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission, which is made up of 5 townships, including Blue Lake, and they have a vision for those townships. That document was also used in court, and they won, and they stopped them. So that's an example.
They had to go to court.
Yeah, they had to go to court, and it cost a lot of money and a lot of appeals, and as you all know, it took forever, but they had their day and they won. So that's an example.
Where do people rank?
So this map basically shows where, back in the early 2000s, Muskegon County wanted to encourage development to happen. Smart growth is very important. Smart growth isn't no growth. Smart growth is developing in a way that makes sense and that is cost effective. So the purpose was not to stop growth from happening, but to direct it in areas where it made sense to happen. Redeveloping our inner cities, directing that development there. If we had to extend water and sewer, make it as close as possible to where that exists already. So that's what this was trying to do. These are the smart growth visions. As of, like we said tonight, we're going to talk about land use, community design, things that you see and want to happen in Muskegon County over the next 20 years. And then each of the 5 vision areas, each of those, the upcoming community forums will be focusing on those different areas. So if I know a lot of you are coming to all 5, I think that's great. If you could let me know, that would be wonderful, because I can plan. I can't have any more clickers, all we have is 50, but I can have more handouts and stuff for the table, so let me know.
That's naughty.
Okay, we're going to use the clickers. Oh no, not the clickers yet. This is, I'm going to demonstrate or show here some of the things that have changed in Muskegon County since 2005. And I had a lot of fun putting this together. It's very visual. There's a ton of pictures in here, and I hope you enjoy what you're going to see. But a lot has changed in Muskegon County over the last 5 years. Does that look familiar?
Yeah.
2005, Western Avenue. So we have come a long way in our downtown. Is there more to go? Absolutely. There's a lot more to go. But a lot has changed. Here's some of the outside of the 23-acre mall, former mall property, and Josh highlighted some of these areas. We had the Harley Davidson was not down there. The upper picture, here I got my little, this is from 2005 and this is from 2011. You can see the Harley Davidson and the fire station was not there. The PNC Bank was under construction at the time, if not, I think it was still empty. Parmenter O'Toole and the Vita Nova condos there. The LST was not there. The Artworks building and or housing, and I'm not sure what's the other retirement.
Renaissance Place.
Renaissance Place.
Sure.
Thank you.
Monet Gardens.
And Monet Gardens is there.
Clay wall for the Muskegon site was in since then too.
Yep. So there's a lot that has happened, and it's not just in downtown Muskegon too. A lot has happened across the county as well. So these are just some of the things that we. Does anybody have anything else that's changed downtown that we missed?
You got the fire department.
Yep. The fire station.
Culinary school.
Well, that's all within the in here. Well, yeah, it's over there.
It's about 120 million in the last since 2002 in investment.
Did everybody hear that? It's been 122
120 million in investment since 2002.
in downtown. $120 million worth of investment in downtown Muskegon since 2002.
United Way campus.
Yes, United Way. It's just right off the side. Social Security isn't even on here because this is from 2011, so the Social Security office is on there as well. That's happened. And I remember in the first development of the map, those of you who are involved, we talked an awful lot about when SAPI closes. And we had a lot of people also say, oh, it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. But some people saw the signs back in the early 2000s. What are we going to do? We need to start talking and planning about what's going to happen if SAPI, that's half the wastewater flow, that's all of those jobs, that's 1 mile of Muskegon Lake waterfront. What's going to happen there? So,
Scrapyard.
yeah. So we've got that issue we're dealing with now, and on top of that, we got another one coming down the road with the cob plant. And now is the time to start planning on what we're going to do when that happens. And I know Consumers Energy is working on a plan of what's going to happen with that property. So and that's going through Muskegon area first, I believe.
So who's orchestrating the redevelopment? You said we're dealing with it? Like,
well, we as a county is what I meant. We as a county. I'm not, Windsor Dick is not involved in anything that's going on with the redevelopment. But we as a county have to get involved. That's why we're here.
Right, yeah, we're hoping you do.
This is up in the White Lake area. This is the Tannery Bay. This is a historic picture right here. This is what it looked like in 2003 when they started cleaning out the sediment. 83,000 cubic yards of contaminated sediment were removed. This is when the towers came down, or the tower came down. And this is proposed redevelopment for the future. Yes.
How does the size of that compare to the SAPI site?
Yeah, I have no idea. Kathy, do you know?
Less than 10%? Okay.
Less than 10%.
Less than 10%.
This is 23 acres.
119.
I think it's like 23.
And SAPI is 23 acres. SAPI is about 120. 119, 120.
Were they both built on fill?
What was that?
Were they both built on landfill? Are they essentially landfills?
I know SAPI is. I don't know about Tannery Bay.
Regional structures, I think, were on land, but everything in front of them. Anything in front of the railroad is filled.
Is it? Okay.
And that's on either way.
Okay.
You put a railroad.
Geez, I'm glad you're here, Greg. Answering a lot of questions for me. This is the mall property, Harvey and Sternberg. This is back in '99 when the mall was being built. And this had a lot to do, well, pretty much everything to do with the downtown mall closing. So, there's our urban sprawl that we were dealing with. This is, some of the things that spurred the first go-around of the map. And this is 2005, and this is 2011. We didn't have Myers there, or Target, and plus there's a lot of development happening down here. The racetrack is gone. We don't have that on here. That's up here. But yeah, there's a lot. All the little storefronts that are up there on there, strip malls that are on there as well. So a lot has happened out that way. Accomplishments of the map. Like I said, implementation started immediately in 2005 when it was unveiled. We were very excited that we had 23 of the 28, including the county, local units of government passed resolutions endorsing the map and also agreeing to incorporate the map into their existing master plans once they did update that. And I know a lot of communities have. I know any master plans that we work on, we absolutely make sure it's in there. But so that's, and that is one of the ways, because the map does not have any jurisdictional authority to do anything. It's a vision. It's a countywide vision. But what gives it some weight and some authority is when the local units of government incorporate that into their master plan, and that adds some weight to the document and the vision and helps with the implementation of that. but a lot of things have happened that we have been involved in. It's a lot of planning efforts. We're a planning agency, so you can see a lot of the planning efforts that have happened. But at the same time, a lot of things have happened throughout the county that we don't have our hands in. For example, the 1 in 21 effort, that we're involved in it a little bit now, and they're helping us in updating the map and in getting the word out to get people here. And they're using the document to help them accomplish what they're doing. But so that's one thing. The United Way, the wonderful work that United Way does. I don't believe 211 was around. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening that fall or that are implementing the map. Any community garden that goes in, a neighborhood association puts in a rain garden, that is implementing the map because it's creating a sense of place for that neighborhood. And it's wonderful for all of those things to happen. We don't always know about it, but at the same time, it's still implementing the map. And what we want to do with this update is make it as widely known as possible throughout the community so that these organizations that are in the trenches doing such wonderful work can use this document to help them. We need their input so we can get their visions and what they want to do on paper and get some weight to it, and then so they can use it to then further do what they want to do.
So are all those documents available like on your website?
Oh yeah, almost all of them are available on our website, and if it's not, give me a call and I'll make sure.
And were there local governments who did not pass resolutions?
There were, I think, 4 or 5 that did not, but they didn't participate really at all in the process. And I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I do remember some of them, but I don't really want to call them out.
Wasn't the city of Muskegon one?
Yes, City of
No, City of Muskegon was very involved and has been involved and is still involved in the map. So yes, the City of Muskegon. They're more outlying communities. Any questions on any of these accomplishments? But there are many, many more within the community that
What's
we
the
are not.
farmland reservation program?
That is,
Should that be preservation?
it should be preservation. Preservation.
Good eyes, Sean.
I'll make sure I have that corrected. Thank you for pointing that out. Farmland preservation program was going on pretty much simultaneously with the development of the map. There was an effort in the community to permanently preserve and protect a certain amount of acres of farmland, and there was a program, a statewide program, and Kathy and Greg were very involved in that. And they were developing the document and the criteria of the land and the farms, and to put that into permanent conservation. But in order to do that, the county had to have a countywide master plan. So the map fulfilled that criteria. And that program is up and running. I don't know how far along it is. I know...
Makes individuals eligible though under the USDA
Yes.
program.
It's, yep.
Which has not been funded to its full authority as far as that goes. But
I know.
Kent County has way more private donors as well. And they actually have a county, I think, village that supports the program as well.
And what it does is a farmer can apply for the program to preserve their farm. They can still actively farm it, and they can sell it in the future, but it has to stay in farming, in a productive farm. It's a conservation easement, basically, that stays from property owner to property owner, but it has to remain as a farm. So they can't break it up and make it a subdivision. Any other questions on any of these? Yes, Bob.
What's the coordinated planning NCMC?
That is the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission. And that's the one I mentioned a few minutes ago. That is the townships of Blue Lake, Fruitland, Dalton, Laketon, and Muskegon Township north of the river. Those communities realized that they had some planning issues along M120 and Whitehall Road. And especially with Michigan's Adventure being there, and there's a lot of commercial development happening up Whitehall Road, they wanted to work together to, with amongst all the jurisdictions, to have some consistency. They are still working together. Kim Arter is a member on that. We haven't met all summer, but we do have some things that we will be working on, some stormwater management things that we're going to be looking at. I don't know if you know that yet, Kim, but now you do. That is, and there is a vision, a plan for that. We have a future land use map developed for that area, and that's what that is. We have a lot of acronyms too. So if I say something an acronym, I try not to, but if I do, say what the heck is that, Aaron? What are you talking about? What?
Nick of Jitch Pick.
I like that.
It's almost as bad as,
All right. So when we were coming to the end of developing the Muskegon area-wide plan, we asked ourselves, we had these 5 vision areas. We identified the goal, which I'll let you read right there. But we wanted to know, what should we do with these? How do we accomplish this? And so we asked ourselves 3, and this is the map implementation, or the map steering committee that we had. We asked ourselves 3 questions. What should be done to accomplish this goal? Who should be doing it? And what time frame should it be done? Is it ongoing? What should we do? So we asked these questions, and these are the answers we came up with for land use and growth. We have a set of these for each one of the 5 visions. And I'll talk a little bit about each and what's happened with that. Did we do it? Did we not do anything? Did we try? Did it fail? Was it successful? We have adopting the principles. And like I mentioned, we had 23 local governments pass resolutions supporting the map, the smart growth principles, and agreeing to incorporate those into their master plans once they updated their master plans. So we felt was very successful. Planning Commission meetings. Whenever there is a 5th Wednesday of the month, we hold a county-wide Planning Commission meeting. It's more of an informational meeting. We invite. It's really open to the public. So if you want to get on my email distribution list, let me know. I have business cards up front. I'd be happy to have anybody and everybody attend those meetings. They're at 3 o'clock, 7th floor of the Terrace Plaza building. Whenever there's a 5th Wednesday of the month. The next one coming up, though, is on Halloween, so we're not going to have that one. And we basically bring in a speaker or have somebody talk about a hot topic that's happening in Muskegon County. So we do hold those. We've been holding those since the summer of 2006. Coordinated planning are like the Planning Commission, the countywide Planning Commission meetings help that. There's networking going on there. Like I said, the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission is a very good example of coordinated planning. Educational seminars, we said that and encouraging communication, they all kind of fall under those countywide Planning Commission meetings that we have. So we kind of say that we're hitting all of them in that realm. Model ordinances. This was a tough one. Each of the 27 units of government has their own zoning ordinance, their own master plan. To come up with model ordinances is very, very difficult for them to use and to tweak for their communities. One, that we don't have the zoning expertise at the regional commission to do that, and there was no money to hire a consultant to do that. So we were not able to do that. Through the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission, I'm just going to call it JPC. So once I say JPC, that's what I'm referring to. We, over the past year, we coordinated all of their zoning definitions. That was very challenging for me. Like I said, I'm not a zoning person. I'm more of a planner. I take an overall umbrella look. Zoning is very microscopic, black or white. This is how we do it. So it's very difficult for me because I'm not a black or white kind of person. I'm a planner, visionary. Anyways, we have that document, and it took us a year to really put it together, go through it, and it's all 5 townships and their zoning definitions. It is 83 pages, 11 by 17, back or front and back. So that's five communities definitions only.
Is that the tax code you're describing?
No. No. So to do that for 28 jurisdictions, it's very challenging. So we weren't able to do that. But that's something we can maybe keep and try in the future. Planning law reform. I'd like to say that we had a hand in it, but we really didn't. But there was a planning law reform, PA 33 in 2008 that came out. And one of it encompassed a lot of things, but one of the main things that we liked about that is it encouraged, or actually it requires communities when they're updating their master plan to inform their neighbors. Their bordering jurisdictions that they are beginning the process of developing a master plan or updating their master plan, and they have to give that community 63 days to review the draft plan and to comment on that before they adopt it. They're required by law. And that's something that we felt really met what we had said we wanted to do in this. And then the ambassador program, we did have quite a few people. Was anybody an ambassador? I know Kathy, Greg, you were. I don't know if you remember that. Dave, you might have been too. Agreed to do that, but as you know, everybody has a job and gets busy, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. It was very hard to maintain that. So, it's time for the clickers again. This is where we're getting into more of the opinion, so you can tell me how you feel about certain subjects. We ready? Alrighty. First, some demographic stuff. We're able to cross-reference so we can figure out how many people that live in a township feel this way, or in a city they feel that way. So we're going to get some of these out of the way. I should have put, I don't know where I am. Not sure.
It's a city.
And sometimes it's confusing to know where you live because you have, I know in like southern North Shores, you have a Spring Lake address. You pay your taxes to North Shores, but you have a Fruitport, or Grand Haven School. It's Grand Haven School District because you have a Heights zip code, so it's kind of confusing there. One more. Going once, twice. Okay. 59% from the city. Cities, I should say, that live in a city. Great. Next one. What is your age group? I know. I'm moving up, so I don't like it either. Yeah. Okay, going once, twice. We do have somebody under 19, but he doesn't have a clicker. All right. What is your occupation? You can put other if you're more than one.
Activist.
Or just whatever you want to be today. Or what capacity are you here in today? What's that? All right, going once, twice. There we go. Ooh, a lot of others. What are we missing that we should add?
Human services.
Human services, okay. Can we make note of that? Healthcare? Can we just put healthcare?
Manufacturing.
No. Farming.
No students.
Unemployed, is that a good one?
No students at all.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody making notes from staff? Mental notes, thank you. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to get fun now. Typically, development decisions in Muskegon County are well thought out and make sense for the community,
Right. It's a
are
joke.
predictable, fair, and cost-effective,
It's a joke.
are hit and miss, or are haphazard, unpredictable, and make no sense at all.
There's another option. It makes sense. The kind of sense you want it to make.
Okay, going once, twice.
Wait a second, wait.
What? Oh, stop it. Gavin.
Come on, click it.
I'll work with the mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Predictable, fair, but not impossible.
there we go. 3, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at
Well, I thought we did a lot with it before.
all. Yeah.
They know what they're doing. 88% are saying.
Yeah, 88% are saying it's.
Yeah, not so good. Okay. All right. Next one. Development and land use in Muskegon County should be regulated by local governments. After all, Michigan is a home rule state. Does everybody understand what home rule means? No. Home rule means that each jurisdiction has their own zoning and land use authority. I think there are only, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, about 8 states in the country that have townships. They're mostly within the Midwest and Northeast. But you get down to Arizona, over to Arizona, and many states don't have townships. It's cities or counties.
Well, how does that stand in this consolidation push?
With what?
The consolidation push between the townships and those different, trying to consolidate zoning and permitting and stuff.
Well, right now, state law dictates how communities have to consolidate, and it has to be a majority of the vote by both communities to consolidate. I believe that's it. Nobody can require a community to consolidate; they have to want to do it themselves, and that's how the state regulates it.
Right.
The requirements that the state is trying to push for consolidation of services. So we might share the same zoning administrative staff with another city or another township, but we still have separate legislative bodies. There's nothing that I have seen anyway so far at the state level that actually force governmental units to merge. It's simply trying to force us to consolidate the way that we administer the services that we have to consolidate on the policy.
Correct. Does that make sense?
So
Okay.
on public-private partnerships, what exactly do you mean by that?
The business community working with the local units of government to make development decisions.
Welfare for the rich.
So number 2 is be driven by the private sector, let the market decide. 3, occur through strong public-private partnerships. We're all in this together. Or 4, be determined by the good old boys. And how do I become one?
It should, not the way it is.
Okay, going. Oh, still going. Going once, twice, and done.
Oh, geez, I wish.
Interesting.
Voted for more? Stand up!
Yeah.
You know, we talked about this in the staff. Do we throw those funny questions, the funny answers, because you know you're going to have a smart aleck out there that's going to do that. But that's okay. I did that to make it fun.
I think someone wants to be a good old boy.
There should be more coordinated planning efforts amongst local governments in Muskegon County. Do you strongly agree, all the way down to strongly disagree, or is there planning? Coordinated planning? All right, going once, twice. Wow, very interesting. We had 3 people, I think, vote.
You may have a
Vote.
bias audience.
Huh?
You may have a bias audience. Wanted to hear.
Run by
Okay.
those that show up.
What?
Run by those that show up.
Yeah. That's right.
Not that we have any
Okay,
power.
we have done enough strategic planning in Muskegon County. It's time for some strategic doing. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or are you still trying to figure out if there's coordinated planning in Muskegon? All right, going. Oh, look at, we got everybody. Full participation. Good, I like that. More and more jokesters in the audience every time. All right, what is the biggest land use issue facing Muskegon County? Is it sprawl and overdevelopment? Development and redevelopment of the lakefront? And that can be on any lakefront. We have many, many lakes. Redevelopment of the downtowns, and keep in mind we have more than one downtown. We have lots of downtowns within the county. Creating and maintaining a strong sense of community, or there are no land use issues. No, build. Full participation in this one? Okay. Oh. One more. There we go. Yay. Very interesting.
I can make a comment.
Of course.
If sprawl and overdevelopment was truly addressed, it would solve food security. Because if it's brain development, that accounts for those 2 things. If it was limited, because you still see houses built out the building.
Okay.
Nowhere.
Let's poll the audience on that one. Let's do an impromptu. Wait, let me freeze. Okay.
Save a
I
shot.
think they voted for one, Greg.
And this is basically a yes or no. Or maybe we can do strongly agree to disagree.
We can do yes or no.
Yes or no. Let's do yes or no. If sprawl and overdevelopment were adequately addressed, or were adequately addressed,
Just gotta shoot him down.
would it solve 2 and 3, which is development and redevelopment of the lakefront and redevelopment of the lakefront?
No
What,
junkyard.
one, which is, yes,
Yes,
which is
urban
no.
sprawl.
What is 1 and what
Well-
is 2?
Sprawl occurs wherever it is. All you gotta do is drive by look downtown.
What? Is 1 yes and no 2?
When they decided.
1 and 2, these issues, with the issues of 1 and 2, or with 2 and 3, the issues of 2 and 3 solved.
They're not going to move
Let's vote now.
downtown just because we run out of country.
Let's table it.
Yeah.
We're all in no.
What do you vote for? Which of those?
We're getting there. We'll let you know.
I voted for number 4.
1 is yes.
We can't get anywhere unless we get our heads together.
Okay, ready for the outrace? Ready? Okay, here we go.
I thought,
This is the question. If sprawl and overdevelopment were adequately addressed, would the issues of 2 and 3 be solved?
Just put a bet on this.
Twice, and, 63% disagree with you, Greg.
Yeah. That's great.
All right.
You guys don't get outside the city limits very often.
All right, let's go back. We'll go back. I did. Yes.
I partially agree and I partially disagree. I think there is an extent to which it has an effect.
Not a cookie
But
or
people make decisions about where they're going to live based upon schools, based upon socioeconomic, based upon the perception of safety, based upon the perception of ethnic, racial, religious issues in the community. No matter how much you try to plan for land use regulation, unless you flat out completely prohibit building outside of the city, you're going to have a lot of people who will simply make the decision based upon any combination of those other factors that they will not live there.
It goes along beyond where you live, though.
Yeah,
too.
they'll just go
True,
through.
but if you want, there's all of those other factors that we have to address. Planning for development from a land use perspective only is one of those. It's an important piece.
Right, and that's why we have the 5 vision areas up there. That's why we have the 5 vision areas. This is just one thing. So, for the sake of time, we are going to have to move along here. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see.
Okay. Okay, we're going to do a group exercise now. And those of you who don't have one of the big charts, we want your opinion. This group, you guys don't have one, but your table is full, so if we can have somebody go over there and maybe get a piece of paper. I have a notepad in there and somebody can work, so we'll make an impromptu one for you guys. But I'm going to ask you to fill in the table. And what we're going to do is we're going to, once again, answer the questions based on what we know today and what we want Muskegon County to look like. We're going to answer the what, the who, and the when. My clicker's different than So again, I'm going to leave this slide up. This is the goal that we're trying to answer with the what, the who, and the when. So that's the goal we're looking at. And what we want to do is maybe be a little bit, try to be specific. Because when doing goals and implementation strategies, you want to kind of start as a funnel. We have our vision area, which is really, really kind of broad, land use and growth. And then we have our goal, which brings it down a little bit more narrow. Now our strategies that we're identifying need to be a little bit more specific. So we can, because once we finish this process, we need to identify a way to measure our success. That's what we want to do. So we want to have some things that are a little bit more specific. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to give you probably about 20 minutes, depending on how you do, in your groups at your tables to identify as many what, who, and when you can. Now, you can have, for the when, you can have a specific
big piece of
date
paper,
and time,
but
not time,
it all works the same way.
date or year,
Use it like that,
or
or
you can have
make your own
some
design.
are
Whatever you
envelopes,
choose, as long as we
so
get it on
you
paper
don't
and
necessarily have
we'll
they
get
can stop, like our countywide planning commission meetings. Those are successful. We kind of want those to keep going. But if the group doesn't want to, that means but just keep in mind that something can be on.
What?
And if you have any questions, raise your hand. We have the Winterdick staff here. All the planners, if you can raise your hand. Winterdick planners. Stand up. If you have any questions,
we need to see what those visions and goals are.
and we're going to be kind of going around.
Amy, we need to know what those visions and goals were. Yes.
Yeah, once we're done with
I can do it. I don't have real good handwriting though. I'll make a mess.
I'll see if I can get you. There's another one up there. Some are missing. Oh, some are.
Well, I thought you would do this up right here.
I think it'd be better. There you go.
Oh, good. Thanks. Great. So we gotta know what those goals are, man. You gonna record? You wanna record? That's right. We're at 99%. Watching this video.
You know, the easiest ones to do are on the iPad. I have an Android Samsung.
One of the major issues, man. I think myself, I'm thinking of the county building, how inconvenient it is to try to even know what's going on at the meetings and then to try to attend the meeting, and so I think it's critical. Communication and then kind of a partnership. It's got to have communication.
I hope everyone, or at least some people here tonight, are able to attend all of the other forums too, because there's, the quality of life and some economy and jobs and other forums that I think would be really important for the community to say what are the aspects of our county or our region that make it difficult for people to participate in the process. So I think that people should definitely go to those and share.
We looked at the schedule, is it going to be pretty much the same time?
Yes, 7 o'clock.
Yes. Now that's convenient.
Yes. You can carry these over if you want. Some of these, if you think they're still relevant. We can still use these.
So who's going to record? Let's write down an issue and start solving it, right?
Okay, so I guess adopting principles is one we can pretty much take verbatim.
He doesn't reference what that package is, that's that takes that internet signal and makes it wireless in the air so that you can use it anywhere in the house.
If it does,
The thing is, if she doesn't have any Wi-Fi, she could have some honest, usable, you know what I mean, that she takes downloads and has, she wouldn't be able to check her email.
right.
There wasn't racism.
Sure.
So we're gonna deal with all.
Before you zip up, that was how most of the subdivision development.
We're gonna deal with all of this, or what? We're gonna deal with all of this.
Basically, we're trying to update these columns, and we're trying to update them and add any other objectives.
Yes.
What happened to our group?
When you're out stuff and you want to look up on the grass and stuff, things like that. But you know, to pay at least $50 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys gonna do this or not?
No, we better get going on this.
Yes. Are we gonna participate or not? Please participate. That's important. Roger, are we gonna participate with this thing or not? If they don't,
Are we filling out our paper?
well, they drop one off, but everybody was kind of disintegrated as soon as they did. So they won't hear from us.
They won't hear from us.
But in a way, you guys help to shape. Maybe unforeseen. How about reading off one of those things and writing it down and maybe just okay. Yeah, reading it into the air.
You gotta go back and look at it.
Yes.
Always a
Right. Continue to time's on it.
You just need one
Matt, are you gonna work with us? Good. Okay, now just tell you we ought to group someplace. I think we're gonna group and answer these questions. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
What we want to do is make sure that Lake Shore gets cleaned up.
Yeah, what is the issue though? Aren't there a certain number of issues on that paper that we have to have written down here?
No, this is just an example of what they had before.
Oh, so it could be any.
The main thing is, like I said,
What do we feel is important going forward? The what, the who, and the...
Okay, I got a what for you. And I'm thinking about how difficult it is to attend the county meetings and to even know what the county's doing. Because
This is about land use. This question is about land use.
okay, well then let's talk about whoever is pulling the strings on land use and make that accessible. Like this meeting is 7 o'clock in the evening, we got a good turnout on this. If there's going to be some land use decisions made, damn it, they shouldn't be made at 1:30 in the afternoon on a work day. You know, and then rescheduled and shuffled around like the county does.
Who would be the involvement of the community at times when people are available?
Okay, so we're going to start with
This is a partnership.
No, that is it. We're going to make sure that they clean up all the contaminated.
okay, but then we're moving into meeting times and stuff. So
But the involvement of as possible, like having accessible time.
So ensure.
I think that's a second issue. So I mean, I think it's its own whole issue. I think so too.
Yeah. So our first issue is the cleanup of the contaminated. Ensure environmental.
Like that one, those people who came today. I don't know, I didn't know, but I mean, they're like those issues very wet. You interviewed out in Dalton Township, all the contaminated.
that's the new
Contaminated, and then make sure
No, all
You had like number 4 or something on the list that most important community partnership. You can't have a partnership without communication. We're all out, that ain't gonna work. You know, and so that would actually, I think, be more important in principle, like you were saying, than safety.
land and water, I was going to say, because it's the water.
Okay, yeah. So land use and maybe Shappy will trump everything.
Well, I mean, but that's, building a partnership is its own thing.
Yeah.
So while we're on ensuring cleanup of contaminated land in the county, so anything else you want to add to qualify that? Or
what about preventing even worse because there's fracking coming in and there's
so should we?
Well, first thing is clean up what we have.
And then that would be a second one. Develop plans to prevent future pollution.
Right, pollution.
That right there is important. Develop plans to prevent.
That strategy is
That encompasses, if somebody goes over that, you can see water filtration, and that impacts the county. So that's something that's
Any questions?
All right.
Start trying to micromanage the township.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's it for our group, I guess. Everybody knows this. Back over the front again. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Sorry we didn't have enough handouts for everybody. I feel really bad. If there's anything that you didn't get, let me know. I'd be happy to send you guys. And there's a lot on our website too. This is wonderful. I had 33 signed up on our website today, and we have 460. It's a good problem to have.
There's so many ways to do it.
It's trying something else, but it doesn't have to go to terrible period.
And then once you get clear,
And that's nice. That's nice. We have the flexibility to do that because we're not a jurisdiction. You know, so we have the flexibility to do that. Yeah,
All right, so what's this roundabout one? This will be our tool. I'm just happy with all the contaminated sites.
well,
it's multiple places.
It would be the local jurisdiction that needs or it could be a regional entity.
Wasn't this paid for by a grant from the DEQ that is under pollution prevention? So isn't that something that really should be part of it? We want to have better planning so that,
Right, well, we're supplementing, and our portion is to update the plan with that portion of money and add an element of sustainability to the map. We put together brownfield inventory. It was completed in 2008. It's a 5,000 because we did a whole research. And through that, we worked with all of the neighborhoods to identify the brownfield inventory. So we're not going to apply this year, but we will apply the last year. Update that inventory because a lot of new all in some of them come offline, like the Muskegon business card, because that was enough of the time. That's been the outsourcing. That one will be taken off because they're shovel ready for next year. So there's a lot of different things. So we were trying to get a grant to update that. Add the new ones. That was kind of
is the lower of this? Because theoretically, on the one hand, mulching is accepted on liability, but on the other hand, there's law that still keeps Sappy on the hook as well. I'm not sure of the details, but it's an odd bifurcation.
Well, then you have all that stuff that's gone into the lake and permanent paper out there that's really cleaned up and
Yeah. Are you the owner? Property owner? Yeah.
You got shots in?
well, we just got the who and the what on there, and I'd say ASAP hurry.
Yeah, yesterday.
Prioritize yours first.
Can you read it though? Because I don't even hear what you guys are talking about. So that
This is cleaning up of all contaminated sites in the county. And what she said is, obviously,
you need to put in another jurisdiction.
so there should be a recognition that they need to be given.
Property owners, and I guess also
So that is the best way to prevent that pollution.
consultancies and activists.
I've got 40 people that already has the hours. I got 20 acres.
Put on there that we would like, is one of the things that we want to happen is our local governments to get the political balls to start listening to the people. Something is responsive to local government.
Problem in the city, township or wherever, just affects members, it does affect the citizens, it affects the rest of us in the county. Don't affect the it affects me, you're going to listen to it. So it affects all of us in the county or wherever, it's locals have to listen.
Okay. Develop a framework for greater intergovernmental communication on issues that affect multiple jurisdictions in the county.
Well, I think specific to Occupy, we should also have a one down there that has the people want our local politicians and the whole everyone to be more responsive, more transparent, more responsive to the people, and stop doing things behind closed doors when the private
I thought about it.
And I think educating the public that we are the stakeholders, we are the watchdogs. You can't count on the DEQ.
Well, basically, yeah, Dylan asked that question, right? Point blank out. And to have,
So initiatives for more responsive government, initiatives for greater responsiveness of local governments,
I guess so, the transparency. So what would be the who on that? I mean, it's going to be...
We're all in this together. We are one.
Yeah, all elected officials. So put on the what for that one What did you put here about the, is that the
framework for greater intergovernmental communication and coordination on issues affecting local jurisdictions or county as a whole?
so I guess that'd be local politicians,
Local governments.
I guess both, and this is the one about, what's this one?
Initiatives for greater responsiveness of local government to citizen concerns and community involvement.
Yeah, and I think the same thing, the same thing.
Proactive transparency.
It'd be nice if they all came through. Wave a magic wand.
Well, they have in some of these schools, they have like local governments and Muskegon County, Windsor and local developers. So who else might be who's on either of these?
Yeah. And all the townships too.
Windsor, that's who's hosting it. West Michigan Sunlight for Development.
You get up at 5.
Required public communication. Required public communication.
Quarterly meeting instead of one township gets together. That's what they want to do.
So I guess on the Wednesday we could just put right now. Now and ongoing. I think all need to be now and ongoing. I mean, that's when we want to do it. When we want to do it. Start now and be ongoing. Ever building.
And after all of them,
I think so. Why wait?
Yeah, really.
That's the thing.
We're in crisis.
The worst thing about Muskegon, all these people shooting up with the mouth, and then they all go home.
Well, and that's what they said. This is going to take time. That's hopefully not 17 years.
It's so only 4 times as big. We could like I think we'd be 4 times as long.
But I think 72 years impact local counties is just people want to look at it from a financial point of view. The county that has high rates of cancer, disease, renal failure, asthma, and diabetes is not going to be an attractive community development because of its dirty air. So we need to.
But it's got the low rents and the poor schools.
That's why.
Empty schools.
That's why it's low.
County of Ray.
That's why it's so low. Nobody wants to be
So who do we go to today? All the local environmental, all local environmental.
Oh, when I went to
Take a fight. It's like a school. Yeah.
And the local governments too, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up now. And what I'm going to give you, I've given everybody 2 minutes to decide your number 1 task.
January.
And then you're going to report that out to the group. One of your items, one of your who, what, when that you identify.
Okay, what's our number 1?
Yeah, what's the number 1?
Decide on number 1.
And you're going to share that with the group. You've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, what's number 1?
What's number 1? The initiatives for responsiveness and transparency and require transparency and communication, or the cleanup of the contaminated land in the county.
I think Shanti was right when she said it earlier. I think the communication is more important.
Well,
So we have cleanup, communication.
She didn't vote.
well, I think cleanup with a mention of communication.
Oh, there you are.
Communication of the cleanup.
She's a lateral thinker. Yeah. That's right. They asked for one, we give them two, right?
That's right.
Good news, Shanti.
That's
good.
So what, we're going to combine them?
We make our own rules.
You know, that our number one is the cleanup of all contaminated sites and you know.
Hey,
But
Dave.
we really, it's a tie really with, okay, dip that up. Yeah, same we have a tie.
Right, so we make our own rules. You are one to do it too.
One A and one B.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes and yes.
When you're ready. Okay.
And I don't know.
Let's reel it in.
You're on me to stand up for this.
With all the enthusiasm in the world, we're going to let this table go first. When there's number one, what?
Our number one, building citizen partnerships with local elected officials.
Yay.
And getting more input. Who we're going to ask our colleges and people to do some training for citizen involvement. And when? Now.
I like that one. That's a good one. Okay, who wants to go next?
He hesitates.
Nice. Okay. Let's go back. This table in the back corner over here. Mr. Fisher, I don't know who's reporting out. What's your number one?
Our number one was a continuation of one of the other ones for educational seminars and just education on what smart growth is in general, except we feel that to broaden that a little bit, we also need to educate the community members, not just the government and the realtors. We need to include everybody so that we know what we're going to make this goal, what the goal is, what the backbone of it is. So we included the who for, I don't know what time you say. Windsor
So Windsor is in it.
You're swearing. Obviously the local government and area developers, but obviously we, to get the word out to community members and have them be a part of it, to incorporate them as well. And we want it now and to have it ongoing.
Okay, great. I like that one too. We're going to have this table right here.
We had kind of a tie.
Okay, well you can share both.
Yeah, okay. We want to ensure environmental cleanup for contaminated land in the county, and the who would be local jurisdictions, DEQ, EPA, property owners, consultants, community pressure groups. Now, worst first. Now we want to do it, and the worst first.
The worst contaminated sites first. Okay.
But our close second runner-up was initiatives for greater responsiveness of local governments to citizens' concerns and community involvement. We feel like we're, on the county level, the meetings are too early for everybody. There's just a dampening of democracy all around, not really wanting citizen input. That's our experience with stuff, and so we want more of that. And, I don't know how we're going to get it. We've got to keep asking them. But, also the thing is, on that one question where it said community coming together, I really think that has to happen, too. I mean, we don't have enough community engagement here. And I'm so happy that you're having this and everybody's here.
Yeah.
It's encouraging when people show up.
Yeah.
We have 62 people here tonight.
Yay!
So.
Yay!
And of course, now and ongoing.
Now and ongoing. Isn't everything now or yesterday? Well, we invited anybody and everybody who would come. As of 4 o'clock this afternoon, I had 43 people registered. So we invited all 172 citizens, 172,000 Right, 152,000. That's the population of this county. Yes. Everybody was just like, oh. Unfortunately, that's the but that's the way. I don't think we'd be able to go on.
We'd get a bigger room.
We need a bigger room. But, all right, who's next? Ken, your table?
Maria.
Oh, Maria.
We had for the coordinated planning, so we added also the implementation of the previous being updated map as well with master plans and having the local governments understand that you have a master plan, let's continue on with it and use what the map actually has already in it and make sure the implementation happens there. So we had local governments and then we had those ongoing with assistance from Windsor Dick and
Great. That's a good one, too. That's a good one. We'll move to there.
Yay.
The table behind them.
Okay, to help decrease urban sprawl and increase walkability, we said to live by and hire local with anchor institutions and employers. So who would be the Muskegon area first chamber, mayor of Muskegon, Muskegon Now, State of Michigan, Unity and Compass, and we said to start now.
Great. That's a good one, too.
Yay.
Okay. Then we'll go with this table right here.
We needed more time. We had a lot of what's and not a lot of who's or when's. So I'll give you a couple of those because we really didn't get very far as expanding those. A lot of themes you've heard already. Things like encouraging the colleges to expand downtown. Maybe a master's program. MCC having our campus downtown. And then, again, a lot of these things are things the community's already talked about. But we really came together around changing the perception of downtown and finding Muskegon's identity. We wanted to build pride around everyone wanting to make Muskegon something that's there for all of us. So we thought maybe we needed to kind of poll people and figure out what our identity is. What do we really all have in common or want to be known as? And be part of the Muskegon movement on both all and
Great. Very good one. Very good. And this second table back here.
Well, it was not enough time to prepare for a test.
I always make you work. Whenever you come to any of my meetings, I'm going to make you work. Usually. So.
I don't think we got very far, but I'd like to see the joint planning commissions report further. There's much more to be gained from that. And just educational opportunities to educate the local community what planning's about. Most people don't understand what it's about.
I agree with you.
I guess that's my concern.
Okay. Wonderful. Great. That's very good. Very good. Great job.
I saw that you have that northern regional unit that gets together and talks about issues in their area.
The North Central.
I think the same thing probably should occur in the Ravenna, I'm out of the Ravenna Township, but that area too, because we have some of the same issues in the rural districts that Muskegon doesn't understand and maybe we don't understand their issues. We deal with just different issues. And
right.
I think sometimes we need to have subunits to come together as a group.
Exactly. In the first go-round of the map, we really struggled in identifying goals and objectives and implementation strategies because there is such a difference between the rural community and the urban community, and how do we have goals and objectives that really apply to both. So we even tossed around the idea of having two sets.
Otherwise the goal they get too general. It's like
right. So and that's kind of why we really embrace the smart growth principles, like I said, because each community can play a part and have a piece of that puzzle in the smart growth principles. And the county as a whole, when those puzzle pieces come together, can meet all of that and meet the needs of the whole county.
I'm not smart enough about it yet, but I really do think planning commissions and zoning administrators and stuff like that, there's some lacking, especially in our area, for maybe the professionalism or knowledge base that we need sometimes. So I don't know. Maybe all that stuff is, maybe they go through a lot of meetings and things like that, but I don't think they do. I think sometimes we're just working off the, what we think is right.
Well, one thing we did through the Joint Planning Commission, the JPC, is when we were putting together all those definitions that I was talking about earlier, we met monthly with the zoning administrators, and most of our meeting was the zoning administrators networking. How do you handle it? Because we were going through the definitions, and a situation would come up, and they're like, hey, I'm dealing with this. How are you handling this in your community? And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So maybe more networking amongst zoning administrators across the county. So maybe we could do something like that.
Is that still occurring?
You know what? Once we completed the definitions, no, they haven't met since. And maybe that's something we need to do, with that. But maybe we open it up
Well, I think it's something if the
more of the
township,
county.
I think if the 28 or 38 units knew that, they would send them there, whether they're full-time or part-time, if they bought into it and they were required to attend. Because, I mean, I do think that's important. We may not agree on all the areas, but at least we're professional about it, look at the master plan in our area, we can make sure we coordinate with that.
Okay. I think that's something that we need to add to the list of things that we need to do is the coordination of zoning administrators, networking. So, okay, yes,
I
Dave.
just wanted to add one comment too on the discussion. That was a very good discussion. I think one thing that we all tend to do, we talk about the urban communities and we talk about the rural communities. And there is no real fine line between the two. The one that really brings the pain to the table, the arguments into the boardrooms, is the urbanizing areas. And it's that growth ring around the better part of the urban Muskegon Heights. It's that growth ring. The same thing was happening in Urbana. They just got a smaller growth ring going around Urbana. And the same thing on Whitehall and Montague. Those are areas. It's the places that are under the pressure to change. And how big do we want those areas to be, and how do we want to let that happen? And if we can get that understanding on the paper where we're really looking at this, that's what's problems are.
I agree. Great. Well, we're running out of time. We got 10 minutes here, so we're going to move on.
Okay, we talked a lot about the uniformity of building codes too, and zoning codes, or zoning codes, I should say, and the need to retain existing buildings downtown and in the downtown areas, not just Muskegon, but all of the downtown areas. And through this uniformity, or more uniformity of zoning codes and retaining these existing buildings, we could draw more residential development and residents into the downtown areas, because they're, the very important parts of the entire county system. And that would be through, more residents moving downtown and mixed-use developments and things like that. The who would be zoning directors, private developers, downtown Muskegon now, and the cities. And this coordination should happen within the next 5 years.
Great. Good one. Good one. And last but not least,
we actually had a tie. First one was encourage cleaner and tech-based industrial growth, urban-based industrial zones that are easily accessible through things like public transit and or walkable. And then that would be our local government units, county government, Muskegon first. And set a deadline for plans of 2015, and then it's going to be ongoing after that. So that was our first one. And then we had a lot of ones that included, we have lots of food deserts around here and working on community gardens, and we kept looking at all this. And all those can be solved by evaluating the health impacts of major developments that are proposed. That would be the health department and the local government. By doing that and taking a serious look at it, that would help, eliminate a lot of the potential problems that come about from the being built without prior investigation and research. And we said about one of 2014 and ongoing as well.
great. Good. Another good one. I have some handouts on there that that lists all 5 of them, and I have some more handouts up here. If you enjoyed yourself tonight, if you weren't planning on coming to any other ones, you're more than welcome. Again, all 172,000 of the residents of Muskegon County are welcome to come. So these are the dates and the locations. We meet again on Tuesday. That one is in the Collegiate Hall of Muskegon Community College. That room can fit 250. So right now I think I have about 40 registered for that. If you could let me know if you didn't register, you're welcome to come, but it helps me plan to make sure we have enough handouts for everybody. That's the only requirement for letting me know, so I can be prepared. But walk-ins are very, very welcome also. And then we are at Moss Ridge. Again, that one can hold quite a bit. On the 16th, we're at the MATS facility, Muskegon Area Transit Facility, on the 18th, talking about infrastructure. And then we're up at the White Lake Library on the 24th. That one I'm a little concerned about because I haven't been up there, but I'm hearing that room is very small.
Small, and officially the library closes at 8.
I've already talked to them. We're all set with time. So anyways, if you can make it, we would love to have your input. And we'll be using the clickers at all of them. And each the meetings will be very similar to this, but again, it will be focused on those topics. I'll have different pictures and different questions for you all to go through. What we're going to do once all 5 forums are completed, we're going to pull all of this information together, work with our advisory committee that we have established, come up with solid who, what, when. We are continually updating the information in the chapter. A lot of demographic and economic information in the county has changed, and I'm continually updating that. Chapter 3 in the document is really a snapshot of Muskegon County. We go through everything from demographic information to economic information to social information to business information to schools and hospitals and fire and police, and that chapter is a monster chapter, and I want to make sure we have the most up-to-date information. So as new information is being updated, I'm adding it to that chapter. I will continue to do that until we're done with the update process. Let me see here. One major thing that we're going to be doing, which we did not do last time, is we're going to identify a tangible way to measure our success of implementing the map. I have no idea how I'm going to do that yet, but that's my goal. Once we get all this put together, I said, and one thing too I did not mention, we have received a grant to do this update. That is a pollution prevention grant, which was granted to the County of Muskegon. We are a sub-grantee of that, and that is helping us do these meetings to update the map, so I want to give credit to them. And one of my tasks is to identify a way to evaluate the success of the map, so I'm required to do it. Also, we plan to, next year around this time, probably in September, unveil the completed map update and the new who, what, and when, and everything. So we're hoping to have, or we will have, another large forum where we will present to everybody the compilation of what we've done over the past year. So that's what we have. And with that, I want to thank you very, very much for coming tonight, and I hope to see you at the next forum. If anybody has any questions or thoughts that come up in the